With the empowering of the youth, though, we should really make that clear of what that means, because, I mean, and I was in journalism school, I did lots of internships, but I really didn't get a chance to, I'm going to be blatant, I didn't really get a chance to be on air or pitch stories or do much. I was lots of times carrying a tripod, so, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, if you are going to give youth a chance, you got to give them a chance. Like, that's what it comes down to. So, I mean, you're getting, like, especially if they're in a broadcast program like BCIT or in communications at SFU, I mean, they have the skills. Like, they are able and willing, and you can get a story out of them that's really compelling and pay them nothing. And they're just doing that as part of their practicum or part of an internship to get work experience. And it's about giving them that voice. Because a lot of times, you know, there are lots of internship programs at different media. I know that, you know, CBC has a great internship program, and also Global had an internship program for Aboriginal youth as well. But it's really making sure that if you are going to give them the chance, you give them the ability to have that voice.
And I think that is something you who are already in the media, you could throw some light on, because it's one thing to empower young people. There's nothing like a frustrated, empowered young person, you know. When you tell them now you are aware, now you are concerned, now make change happen, and then they have all these roadblocks in their way. So here we are saying we start off by putting them, we call it mentorship. But maybe we'll end up frustrating both sides.
I actually, you know, think that that's actually the case. You know, so at CBC I must have worked on I estimate around 300 some diversity initiatives across the country, from internships to sponsorships. If you've come up with an idea, I probably tried it. And I've been asked, you know, if I could do it all over again, is there one thing and I only could do one thing, what would that one thing be? And it would be mid-career talent development. It's, news organizations don't have challenges bringing in fresh talent. They have challenges bringing in talent up the chain of command. And it's at the decision-making, it's at the assignment editor positions where you really, you know, that's the person that decides whether these stories are news or not news. It's really, really powerful. And I have produced dozens upon dozens of frustrated, should-have-been journalists who can't find work in an industry that doesn't have jobs for them, and they don't speak any other ethnic language to get, you know, to work in the in-language industry. So a lot of our recommendations for them have been, in the meantime, as you're waiting for the baby boomers to retire and for these positions to open up, take this opportunity to self-publish and develop an expertise in a particular topic so that when the opportunity is ready, you're ready. And you've branded yourself well, you've made contacts, you could say to someone, I've been writing on this particular topic for 5 years, and you're basically a self-made expert on this particular area of interest for you. The opportunity is going to come up, but not now, not right now. In about 5 years, 5 to 6 years, it's going to happen, because, you know, you can't function the same way you used to at 71 in the newsroom. That's just a reality. In 2011, everyone born in 1945 turned 65. So there is going to be a shortage of talent at some point. It's a matter of being in the right place at the right time. So there is hope. It's not entirely hopeless, but the challenge is keep them inspired and excited about media while they're waiting for these opportunities to happen. And new media and blogging and all that sort of stuff can help.
Maybe the new media, do you see the youth, now I'm looking at knowledge transfer, can we be seeing the youth being the mentors of those who are about to retire because they... No? I mean, think about it.
Yeah, no, it happens. I mean,
it happens.
Yeah, some of the reporters and even myself have taught some of the senior producers how to do Twitter, so I mean, it's happening. But, yeah.
That's not lucrative enough.
I mean, it's all new. Like I wouldn't be able to say if that would be like a position or something. I don't know if that, because now all reporters have to learn Twitter and Facebook. There's not like one expert.
There are positions of, you know, we've just hired a social media guru, which is very, you know, a lot of outfits are doing that. You know.
Youthful, I hope.
Yeah, he's pretty youthful. Younger than me.
Relative. No, I think the other issue you made some very valid points, and I think there's the conventional way of doing that, in terms of like, people kind of are doing the internships and kind of waiting on the wings, until opportunity presents itself. I totally agree about the baby boomers and the economic uncertainties and why people are hesitant to retire now. And then you're talking about the assignment editor who decides what makes a story. Tied again into the issue of the economic challenges, So you have to prioritize what should we cover, and why should we cover that. And these things are businesses. They look at the bottom line, they're not charities. Okay, so that's the truth of the matter. And they have to look at the demographics, where at least, the either returns by word of advertising or whatever is going to come. But there's another dimension to that, which is, like I said, it could be freelancing, provide these kids some of the basic tools. We're not talking about the most sophisticated gadgets.
Yeah.
Okay? Maybe you have like, a group of them from different communities, ethnic communities, but within the mainland and other parts of BC. And tell them, meet together, maybe for a day or two in Vancouver, that kind of, provide some basics information to them. And basically what you're trying to tell them is, no, nobody's going to wait for the assignment editor to say, based on the traditional news values, what we're going to cover. You've got the camera, you've got whatever it is you need, and the rest of them, listen. Go in your community, find out what is happening, tell the story. And the difference between this and the bloggers, because I know a lot of people are very worried about, the veracity of issue materials, out there in the blogosphere, is that they do that and they're working with you. That's what sometimes CNN calls eye reporters, that kind of stuff. So they are sometimes the first on the ground, or even things you never imagined, what's happening in the community, or some perspectives, or just they do some in-depth reporting about certain issues and lives in their communities, okay? Then they tell the story. Now, once they get the story, it's not as if they get the story and it goes right into the Vancouver Sun, website, or the Global Mail CTV website. The editor will still do his due diligence, that kind of stuff, to make sure that, it doesn't make the organization vulnerable. But they are not dependent on the assignment editor telling them, oh, this is the kind of story we want to do, No, give them the camera. They could do 3 or 4 stories, and you end up not using any one of them. But they continue working on the rest of them, But you'll be surprised at the level of diversity and the type of perspectives and the type of materials, and much more importantly, they tell the story and tell their story from their own standpoint. Their community will look at that and say, oh, we never really thought CTV were interested in our issues, that kind of stuff. When actually, somebody's there, the stories are there. They just haven't been empowered, and they don't have, the encouragement or motivation that kind to go after those stories. And some of them who do it in their blogs. How many people read their blogs? It's all about kind of self-promotion. Okay, I've got a blog and the rest of them. So again, I go back to the key issue, which is we are talking about an all-inclusive public sphere, which only the mainstream media adequately represents. The diasporic media will do their own thing, but it's still talking about cultural ghettos on the margins.
And I think just to your point, and what everyone sort of talked about, is there needs to be an emphasis on new media, on the internet, on where media is actually going, and the emergence between sort of traditional media structures and new media needs to happen. Knowledge Networks, a friend of mine, he's a director of new media, and he's created something really interesting, which is called artshuffle.ca, a project where anyone can post their animations or digital media creations on their website, and every month they will pick a few and actually air them for half an hour segments, like every month, right? And they're getting videos posted from Belgium, from Africa, from all, like every single part of the world. And I think that's what the internet provides is definitely that everyone's on a level playground.
Yeah.
No one's looking at, oh, this is that culture, this is nobody's in silos or whatever. Everyone has that same opportunity. So I think that we've been focusing on traditional media in our discussion here. It is absolutely changing on the internet and in social media.
Another thing that it's kind of changing on the flip side, we've been talking a lot about content development, but we haven't been talking a lot about media literacy, and that's something that youth have a lot, and that social media and the whole media landscape has really changed. There's so much, and kids born after, people born after, 1986, this MTV generation or whatever, you know, like they have stuff thrown at them all the time, you know, they've got a really, you know, focused lens in terms of like being able to focus in, and the peripheral BS is kind of off to the side, and I think that's really important to recognize as well in terms of the flip sides of the content development, but what are people focusing on now? And in terms of storytelling, you know, that's a great asset and a tool and a skill to be able to have, to be able to know and navigate the media landscape that youth have, and people are generally getting better at, but I think the younger